Is all the stuff we talk about on this channel just an elaborate subconscious construction of the mind using super psi and other parapsychological concepts, or is that just another silly debunker argument used to gloss over the big picture and often to sort of back up fundamentalist or ideological positions? So in this field, I hear a lot of explanations for different things, and unfortunately, in a lot of groups, what dominates the discussion is that back and forth. Is it real? So we hear about mediums solving crimes. We hear about deceased loved ones materializing in front of people. We hear about Class A electronic voice phenomenon examples where deceased loved ones are basically saying, "Hello, I'm here. Can you hear me?" Testing. We hear about, well, of course, a whole litany of things, the out-of-body stuff, the experiences I have going to the other side, and of people more talented than I am, like William Bullman and Jürgen Zive. Of course, near-death experiences. Okay, we know all those subjects. Although, if you're new here, maybe you don't know about those subjects. In which case, ta-da! There's a bunch of stuff you can study. But what dominates so many of the groups is that endless debate: is it real or is it not real? And what I see is people twisting ideas and theories and logic around like a pretzel to do anything but support the most logical explanation, which is just that it is what is being claimed. So if a deceased person, if a spiritual encounter involves somebody saying, "I'm your loved one who died and here I am, I'm still alive," then that is the most logical explanation. But again, we'll see, like a pretzel, twisting every opinion around to land on anything but the obvious answer. And so that's why, this channel, a big part of this channel is going after some of these arguments. That's why I will attack sacred cows. I will attack even, I don't want to say attack, it's still too strong of a word. To say I will critique, hopefully not attack, offer constructive arguments, even with people who are very well established, people with much, much, much bigger audiences than mine. And I know sometimes I piss a lot of people off by doing that, but really I just, from my experience about 20 years in this field, I feel like that's what's needed above all else. And in this video, I'm going to kind of briefly break down one of these arguments that pops up sometimes, and kind of a funny punchline to the story as well, which I think some people might get a kick out of. But before we begin on that, this is Afterlife Topics and Metaphysics. This is your host, Cyrus. If you're new around here, this is what we talk about. I think it's important stuff. If you think it's important, then I encourage you to please hit that subscribe button. Help keep this thing going. The blue notification bell as well. Got to actually punch those two things together now because YouTube changed up their algorithms again, I guess. And if you want to get involved in this community and reach out to me personally and have a chance to chat with me and work with me, then head to patreon.com/afterlife topics. Little as $3 a month will go a long way to keeping this channel going, keeping the Facebook group going, keeping me able to pay basic bills while I do things like write books, all of that. So if you want to put in a couple of dollars, that's great. If you want to put in a little bit more, maybe join the classes or get involved on the producer level. Special thanks. I did have 2 people sign up on that producer level, so that's really, really awesome, really giving me some motivation here. Then you can do all that on the Patreon. Okay, with that public service announcement out of the way, got to do it. This is a topic that came up on the Facebook group by Taco. One of our contributors is always posting interesting things on the Facebook page. And he writes, "What do you think of the claim that all spirits are aspects of your subconscious? I had a medium tell me that when she talks to a person she believes that that person's talk that she believes that what that person experiences as a medium, or what is just what the client's subconscious mind wants to hear. She said she doubts that any human being is actually making contact with real spirits, but through telepathy of the person's mind who hires mediums, they get channeled messages from the subconscious. She said the entire astral realm is based only on what you subconsciously think it looks like. Okay, I'm being dramatic. Okay, where was I? I'm telling you, this convoluted stuff, it just, it just takes it out of me. Sometimes I begin to physically feel exhausted dealing with these types of arguments. Okay, but gotta keep trekking. Okay. Okay, messages from the subconscious. You said the entire all the spirits are only parts of your own subconscious. That is why when you ask something from a spirit, you may not get it. It is based only on your ability to access your own subconscious. So look, right away, with these types of arguments, what happens is the parapsychologists who continue to approach the subject from the most clinical, end quote, rational-minded perspective as possible, they lump onto these types of arguments. It's when the rationality goes so extreme, like use a little rationality arrow meter or whatever, and it's like going so rational it starts going full circle, and then it does a 180, and then it's into the area of irrational, where again anything but what's really going on. But you may ask, well, hey, this person's actually a medium, so maybe she knows something that we don't. Well, we don't actually know who this person is. It's somebody who the poster knows. I've never heard any other mediums make that claim. What I have heard, though, is people trying to kind of tap into the niche of these fence-sitting, skeptic, realist parapsychology types of people who, and I'm not saying I don't like parapsychologists, I'm just saying when you're involved in that community, there's a lot of people who study parapsychology who kind of like, kind of waffle back and forth between maybe it's real, maybe it's not, maybe it's real, maybe it's not. That's actually good. I support that in many ways because that's the scientific discovery process. But when we want to explore the subject of an afterlife, literally, it's one of those kind of headache-inducing things because we can't really create progress in this area, constantly waffling. We need to kind of stick to a position and then flesh it out. That's my opinion, for whatever it's worth. My opinion sometimes probably isn't worth anything, but whatever. Anyway, where was I? Right, so, there are people who kind of cash in on that, and one example is there's some out-of-body experience authors, I won't name names, but they say the same thing. They teach out-of-body experiences from the context that they're materialists and that they believe it's all just dreams or lucid dreaming, subconscious states. And then here's a medium also saying that spirits are not real, it's just subconscious manifestations. Okay, well, first of all, there's 100 ways to disprove this, okay? This medium may not be evidential, but many mediums are. Many I'm very familiar with who have been able to locate grandpa's will, again, solve crimes, bring back messages everybody wanted to hear, verify objective details. I've experienced this personally with highly reputed mediums. I have no doubt it exists. There's so many testimonies from law enforcement agents who have experienced this as well. So why is it that people's subconscious minds are able to bring back literal objective information? And then we start twisting into a pretzel. We say, oh, it must be super psi. That is, we're just reading each other's minds. It's like, okay, well, if we can all read each other's minds and telepathy is that easy and consciousness exists outside the brain, well, why can't we take that a step further and just say it really is just people who are deceased who don't have their bodies anymore here? Sorry, I really gotta... I'm allergic to something out here in Hanoi, and it's driving me crazy. Hold on one second. Ta-da! I'm back. Anyway, where was I? Um, right. So, if super psi is real, why not take it a step further? So again, it's very convoluted, and we can also look at near-death experiences. Again, more afterlife phenomena. If people can go out of their bodies when their brains are dead, then how can there be any subconscious experiences? Next, the philosophical question, what is the subconscious? Because if the subconscious is so powerful, it can create entire worlds and recreate all your loved ones, then that means the subconscious is so powerful, it's creating whole universes. And if those exist outside of the physical brain, then again, well, what even is reality at that point? How is it even any different than the actual afterlife or reality itself? Where does reality end and the subconscious begin? All these headache-inducing things, when we can just say, well, maybe it's the deceased person, Right. Anyway, so these are some of the points myself and others made. A lot of people in the ensuing discussion basically say this medium obviously is not very talented, and she's sort of rationalizing her inability to operate as a medium. So kind of an interesting discussion ensued. And there is also a middle ground to point out before I get to the punchline of this, which is that I totally think that what this medium said can be true, because not every medium is connecting to the other side. And this also explains why, I'm sorry to say, there's so many bad mediums. Because I think the worst medium is just using their imagination and trying to make a buck, right? The worst ones. And then the second to worst ones are the ones who maybe they do have a little bit of psychic ability. They're picking up impressions of the other side or of somebody, but they're not evidential. They don't have any specific messages. They're just existing in that kind of psychic space, which we can all do. So intuitives do that. I do it a little bit. Think about somebody, get impressions about their lives, and it can be accurate. Like I can think about somebody and think, well, maybe this person is feeling kind of sick today, and maybe they feel depressed about maybe they had like a pet die. Who knows? I don't know. I'm just making stuff up, and sometimes it turns out to be accurate because I'm receiving a psychic sort of impression about them. So some mediums just do that, and they think that it's communicating with the deceased, but it's not. So that's all it is. And this kind of medium may be helpful as an intuitive, but to claim they're speaking or they're communicating telepathically with a deceased person is disingenuous. And then you have evidential mediums. This can include mediums that have a direct telepathic link to even like a clairaudient link. So literally they can tap in and have like a phone call with a deceased person with you on the line. It's like they are the telephone, and then they're calling the person up. And then on the other side, they're answering, and it's a literal conversation. These are the really powerful mediums, and there's not as many of them, but that is, really powerful. So this whole like kind of tapping into the subconscious, I actually think all that's real, but it doesn't like that exists and in place of the real thing. So that's a really good point as well. Okay, so the punchline of the story is let's see. So there was a sub-thread. I think previously I was trying to inquire a little bit about who this medium was, and our contributor responds. This is the punchline. So why do you think she has this opinion? What is her motivation to be a medium who says there's no such thing as spirits? She is a Buddhist. So she believes that any spirit would have reincarnated if they did not reach the nirvana state. She said if there are entities in the astral, then they would probably be too powerful to waste their time on us. fundamentalist religion, ladies and gentlemen. Now we know what the motivation was and why this unknown medium believes the way she does, because she has a very narrow perspective of what happens on the other side based upon Buddhist theology. So anytime that we're in a situation where ancient teachings and theology is going up against objective information and current objective facts need to win, unless you just want to kind of bunker down and take the ancient teachings as faith. Great for you if you do, but that's not really how I operate. And Buddhism can't, despite the fact that Buddhism has some really positive qualities, Buddhism can just be another fundamentalist religion, right? Because you get these ancient teachings which were devised by people who are no better than, let's just say, guys on YouTube, except back then, instead of YouTube, they had parchment paper. And then everybody is supposed to follow everything that somebody said hundreds of years ago. And then those teachings get distorted over hundreds more years until at the end of the day, who knows what you have. And so this is a belief that, well, first of all, it disregards the way reincarnation seems to work, which is multidimensionally. So instead of this linear reincarnation, we have to keep dying, we come back, we had a bad life, we come back as an ox. We come back as a frog or a lizard, and then we hopefully lead a more virtuous life, and then we get to come back with a slightly better existence, and we keep doing that and doing that and doing that and doing that and doing that until finally we have access to the astral world, and at that point we're big and powerful and godlike, and that there is no in-between area, which is just utter rubbish. And the way I see it is that you die, and you just rejoin your consciousness, sometimes to a pre-existing life on kind of like the middle astral level, sometimes looks and feels a lot like this world, and you continue your life there, and then it's up to you if you want to reincarnate. And then if you do decide to reincarnate, you'll probably be living a life there and in your new body simultaneously. Sometimes, as has been discussed, and this is also something Olson from Afterlife TV discusses, which is that the individual continues even if you reincarnate. These are all just facets of the diamond. So it's really like that sort of orthodox Buddhist model really seems outdated at this point. And again, there's that whole nirvana state principle. It's like you don't have access to an afterlife until you, quote, reach nirvana. It's one of those regulations. To me, it smells so much like a manipulation attempt to keep people going to the temple, keep people donating. Carrot at the end of the stick, just keep coming here, trying to reach nirvana, because if you don't, you're coming back as an ox. And then there's other interpretations of Buddhism as well, where there is no afterlife at all. You reach nirvana, then you merge with consciousness, and then you merge back with the universe. And of course, you know how I feel about that. I talked about this in the prior video, really picking that idea apart, and in the 2 videos back when I kind of punch at Peter Fennick for prescribing this notion as well. So that is sort of what's going on with this. So that's the punchline. Where did these ideas come from? Oops, fundamentalist religion. Okay, now I understand why she is claiming, I'd probably use the word pretending to be a medium, and while claiming that spirits don't exist. Because if there was an afterlife, if spirits, or that is to say, multi-dimensional people did exist, it would poke a hole in a theology. That's what we have to navigate dealing with this subject all the time. It gets challenging sometimes, and it's not as bad. It's like any intellectual subject, and of course, there's going to be frustrating elements, but there you have it. It's why I wouldn't take this subject that seriously about everything just coming out of the subconscious. But, some people really do feel this way. They don't want to swallow the red pill yet about the afterlife, and I understand that as well, the whole super psi concept. But I hope that people who do prescribe to that, though, at least consider the possibility that deceased people are not illusions, because it's a really fatalistic, grim view of the universe. That's why I call this spiritual fatalism. It's a term I coined in my books, and I don't know if you've heard about that, but basically it's just assigning the idea that it's too good to be true, so there must be some catch. They're all holograms, or we have to live our same life over and over again, or whatever it is. It's like the truth is too good for us to swallow, and we're conditioned to always be full of fear and to presume the worst, and so we do a great job coming up with this stuff. Anyway, hope you liked that video. These are just my thoughts, my halfway useful opinions. If you want to get involved, please head to afterlifetopics.com. You can check out books like Understanding Life After Death and my new book, The Afterlife and Beyond, on Amazon Kindle, just a couple bucks each. And you can get involved in classes, again, at the Patreon, patreon.com/afterlifetopics. If you want to take this whole thing a step further, work with me, discuss with people on the forum. That's something anybody can do. Just head to Facebook, Afterlife Topics and Metaphysics. That was the original forum. This YouTube has come out years later. We've been on there for a while tackling these subjects. And I guess that's it for this video, and I will see you all soon. Any last updates? Still here in Hanoi, Vietnam. My visa cleared for India, so thank goodness. I'm feeling so just elated today, because I've been dealing with this issue with Los Angeles jury duty, trying to force me to leave from life abroad to go back to go to jury duty, because they wouldn't believe me that I had left the city. And it's taken a month to convince them, and this whole time I've just been playing over in my head again and again the idea that, man, I'm going to have to go buy a really expensive ticket and cancel everything, cancel my volunteer work in the Himalayas and all this stuff that I've been working on, and go freaking deal with the stupid city of Los Angeles. It's been on my mind every single day, just hijacking my thoughts. Finally, that's done. So I'll be going to India now for sure, and I'm, really looking forward to it. Here for a few more days, but yeah. So pretty soon, once again, we'll be playing Where in the World is Cyrus, and I'm about to finish this amazing, in my not so humble opinion, travel guide to Japan. That's over on the Cyrus the Explorer channel. Just put in Cyrus the Explorer, just like Dora the Explorer. And it's been kind of this casual channel, just like really goofy vlogs of me walking around. I put up a couple travel videos. I have my North Korea travel video from way back on that channel, which did quite well, I guess, for YouTube standards. But now I have the next kind of big video coming out, which will be about Japan. And then so I'm excited about that. I'm turning that channel from something kind of goofy maybe into something more serious, like this channel, I guess. Anyway, I'm just babbling. I'm surprised you're still watching the video at this point. Good for you. See, most people, they just watch the good stuff, kind of skip ahead 3 minutes in, watch a few minutes, and then close the window. This means that you are truly dedicated. You're still here, so kudos to you. Okay, I'll see you next time.